Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So this is the Gateway Board of School Directors Study Session Meeting, Tuesday, May 10th. Right here, a roll call, Ms. Isha.
Mr. Bova.
I am here.
Mrs. Rucci.
Here.
Mrs. Delaney.
Here.
Mrs. McBride.
Here.
Ms. Mungo.
Here.
Mr. Ritter. Dr. Singh.
Here.
Mrs. Warning.
Here.
And Mr. Williams.
Here. Thank you. Before we get to the comments from residents on agenda items, we have some folks here from the Gateway High School Chick-Fil-A Leader Academy's Promenade. Who's up? Who would like to tell us about this wonderful event that took place? Oh, look at a lovely picture of Bonnie. Bonnie, very nice.
It's funny, Cheryl wore red top, like she planned it.
Good evening. Thank you very much for inviting us this evening. I'm Dawn Nicolazzo, and
I'm Reagan Reeder.
And Dr. Marcy Klinger is not with us tonight. We are the advisors for the Chick-fil-A Leader Academy. With us, we have Joshua Twum and Dietrich Sizoff, and we're going to let them take it away.
All right. To start out, I'll just tell you guys just a bit of information about it. So back in March of 2019, Brian Wenger, who owns the Chick-fil-A in Miracle Mile, contacted his corporate office to sponsor a Gateway High School chapter for the Chick-fil-A Leader Academy, which is a national high school leadership program. The program is in over 900 schools in 40 different states, and it was just a fantastic opportunity for all of us. We were eager to be the ones selected to pilot the program in the eastern suburbs for sophomores, juniors, and seniors in our high school. So the Leader Academy is a seven-month curriculum, which uses an engage, explore, equip model that culminates into a student-planned and led impact project. The goal is for students to not just learn about leadership, but to live it out and to make a difference in their community by making an impact through action. And we'll talk about a bit more about what that means in a minute. The year starts off with a Kickoff Project, and students attend 2 monthly leader labs. In December, students execute the first one of the 2 service projects, which is called the Do Good December Project. And in the past, we've hosted a luncheon for the high school food service workers, secretaries, and technology staff. And this year, we held a brunch for all the district bus drivers and bus mechanics down at the SSA garage. Our student leaders ended this year with our Spring Impact Project, which was an Under the Sea prom for our fellow classmates who may not have had the opportunity to attend this year's traditional evening prom on May 13th. So we're going to show you now a short video of our Spring Impact Project.
Oh, my next door neighbor, Lily. Yeah. Love hats. I don't want this story. Oh, my goodness.
They have a limo for them.
Well. The Academy, Chick-fil-A paid for all that. Wonderful. Can't remember his name. He was there. Oh. I remember that. It's beautiful.
I can truly say in 15 years of teaching special education, that was by far my favorite day. It was so special. So thank you for supporting this leadership group. The things that they are learning about thinking about other people ahead of themselves and serving one another and humility are truly lessons that I wish we were, able to teach so much more. But it's been truly wonderful to see where these kids have developed over the years. We're so grateful for the way that Chick-fil-A came alongside these kids and went far above and beyond with their generosity. They helped us get a surprise limo for the kids, and they got to come around, and they of course wanted to get out and show off their dresses, and we crowned each of them prom king and queen for the day, and I think we rolled out that red carpet 4 times.
Yeah.
We just kept moving it, we just kept walking it, so it was wonderful. So Josh is going to share a little bit about what the Leadership Academy and prom have meant to him.
Okay, so what the Leadership Academy has taught me is accountability, responsibility, and then leadership, of course, because, it's a leadership academy. What I like is that I can finally be, like, a part of something, like, that's just outside of the whole gateway school thing. And, like, all of us kids can participate in good deeds and really pitch in for the community. And I got to build a really nice bond with some of the kids during our last project, and they were really happy. So yeah.
Nice job.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Do any of you have any questions?
Were you guys
either
on
of us or-
TV? Did Kim Gable come on from KDKA and do?
Yes, she did.
Tell me
Yes.
about that, please.
Well, we can forward you the link. I just sent it to the high school staff today. So she came out. Kim does like a positive news story every week, I think. And so I had contacted her a couple months ago, and she wanted to come to prom. So she came out with her crew and did a little, a piece.
Little.
Well,
It was wonderful.
it was great. She did a very nice job.
How many kids are in the academy?
I think
Rough,
it's
like-
27.
We have
Yeah.
27 students in 10th, 11th, and sophomore, juniors, and seniors. And although it's not a club, it's a leadership academy, we follow all the same policies as any other club or activity for the district. So students have to, follow board policy as far as being eligible. But in the beginning of the year, they have to fill out a Chick-fil-A application. And there's some questions that they have to fill out, and they actually have to be accepted into the academy. So we do make sure that they're eligible, like I said, and our very first year, we did have some freshmen, and then we found that those were the students that dropped out. So then we chose then the second year to offer it just for the sophomore, juniors, and seniors, that those were the students that we felt that were more comfortable in the high school, that they were more ready to take initiative, they felt more comfortable with their peers, so that we thought, well, we'll give the freshmen a chance to get ready, to get comfortable with the high school, get, settled in, see actually what we're all about and what all the other clubs are about, and give them something to look forward to. And we've had a lot of success with that. Unfortunately, we didn't get to do our Do Good December because of COVID in, I guess it was 2019. And then we were shut down completely last year. We had the opportunity to do it virtual. We chose not to because we just felt that we would be more successful just being completely in person and with being in and out. And this year has been absolutely terrific. This is the type of leadership academy that it's a one and done, which is very unique to any other club or activity at Gateway High School and any other high school, and that the students that are involved with Chick-fil-A Leader Academy are only involved for 1 year. So the students that we had this year are now graduates of the Leader Academy, and we'll have a whole new different group coming in next year.
So how did you guys decide on this particular event?
We brainstormed quite a few ideas back in the winter, and then we just took a vote, and this was like the overwhelming majority of people.
I may have persuaded them slightly. I've always loved Tim Tebow's nonprofit and the Night to Shine that he does. So, I might have showed that video, and that was very inspirational. And then
it actually came from another Leader Academy student.
Yes.
With a bunch of other ones, and they brainstormed. Then they they voted it down to, I believe, 5 ideas. And, being a Google school, I developed a Google form, sent it out we have our own Chick-fil-A Leader Academy Google Classroom. So they all had to vote down to their top 3. And then from the top 3, they discussed among themselves, and we shared some videos and ideas, and that's where we showed the Tim Tebow. Yeah. And then from there, they had to eliminate them and vote for their top idea.
We kind of did that with everything. We gave them choices on decorations and food and all the different things of the day to make sure that it was all what they wanted to see happen.
So gentlemen, let me ask you a question. When does leadership begin?
Where does it begin?
When does leadership begin?
You're getting put on the hot seat, Dietrich.
That's a deep question. I'd say
you are already leaders.
Maybe he was a born leader.
Yeah.
And you heard the call and you stepped forward.
Yeah. I mean, I would just say it begins whenever you're needed.
Whenever you see a need,
Good answer, Dietrich.
and that's what you did. So good job, guys.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask too, now how long has Gateway been affiliated with doing this with Chick-fil-A as far as the Leadership Academy?
So we were asked, I believe, in the spring of 2019, and we initiated it in September of 2019. So Mr. Stevens approached me and said, is this something you're interested in? And immediately said yes. And then I recruited Dr. Klinger to be my cohort. And then Mrs. Reeder jumped on board this year when she came to the high school.
And would this have any positive effect on some of them who are in Leadership Academy getting a job at Chick-fil-A?
They want to hire all of them.
Actually, some of them were already employees of Chick-fil-A. Some of them that didn't apply, Mr. Wenger, Brian,
I think they asked every time they came if one of you wanted to work.
Some of them that were employees to sign up for Chick-fil-A Leader Academy. He said if any of you are looking for jobs, he was looking for, and what's one of the nice thing is that we are the pilot in this area, and Franklin Regional actually sent a representative to our last Leader Academy yesterday, yeah, I was gonna say on Monday, it feels like a couple of days ago, to see how we run the Leader Academy, see how we run our labs, because they were gonna start next year, so.
And our
it's
takeaway
truly-
with her was like, let them start for a year, then maybe
Yes.
we can do something with Franklin Regional together for an impact project in Murrysville and Monroeville and show
So,
the benefit of
yes.
collaboration. And
So it's truly an honor that we are the pilot in this area. We were the school that was picked by the Miracle Mile location by Brian Wenger, and that we piloted the program, and now we are the leaders, and we are showing the other schools in this area, how it's done.
What made you two decide to do this year?
To get involved. Well, at first, to be honest,
that's
it
the
was,
perfect question.
it was almost community service. And like, I knew I wanted to get involved with a new club this year, and it kind of just stuck out as something like that would kind of, make an impact, and something that would definitely be worth doing.
You two?
Josh has a great story.
Okay.
Okay, so at first, my mom asked me about it, and I was like, because I didn't really know too much about it, so I was like, no. And then the next day, Miss Nikki, I'm in the library, and she's like, did you fill this out? I'm like, what is
I called
it?
him up and I had a
said
question
no.
about his application. One part I think wasn't filled out, and I said, I need you to look over this application. He's like, what application? And I said, your Chick-fil-A application. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I said, come on up here. And he looked over his question. He said, I didn't write that. And I said, well, someone did because it was emailed to me. So he said, can I see that? And I
It's your mom.
had him look at it, and he said, my mom sent that in. So I gave him an out, and I said, listen, if your mom signs you up, you can, you don't have to do it, but give it a try. He's like, I'll come to a meeting or two. So he came to a meeting or two, and then afterwards I said, so do you want to stay or do you want to go? And he's like, I love it, I'm staying.
So what did we have you say to your mom when she dropped you off tonight?
I had to tell her, like thank you, and
You were right, Mom.
yeah.
That was very humbling, that was, yeah. And this is on YouTube now forever, just so you know. Now, would you go back and recommend to your fellow students to go and get involved with this next
Yeah.
year and build this program to be the leader for?
My sisters are coming up next year. One of them's coming up. She's asking me about it. I'm like, yeah, you should.
Good. Thank you so much. It's such a positive
inviting
thing.
us.
I just want to thank Brian Warren. I mean, he did a fantastic job. I watched him roll that carpet up, roll that carpet out. He was making the decorations. He spent a lot of time at Gateway. Just getting ready for this. And I just want to thank Chick-fil-A for, doing everything they did.
Yeah.
It was a great event. Thank
So
you.
the only problem I see is I don't know how next year we cannot have that particular prom. Seriously. I'm not going to be able to say this without crying, but I have a special needs sister, and this would have meant the world to her. So you guys, you don't know what you did, seriously.
I think one of the most meaningful comments that we heard was one of the girls who attended. Her mom called and very graciously bought the kids pizza for lunch yesterday to thank them. But she said that her daughter had gone to some of those Tim Tebow proms. They were great, but they were with strangers,
Mm-hmm.
with her teachers and her aides and her friends and peers that she got to know. So yeah, you're right. I don't know how we're not going to do it.
Well, we're going to have to do it, and I'd like to adjourn the meeting right now because nothing's going to get better.
We haven't heard the other 4 ideas. They had 5 ideas.
This was the best.
And they honestly were all great ideas.
Okay, we'll
And
see.
they all would have impacted the community, whether it was Monroeville or the greater Pittsburgh community. So all of them were fantastic ideas, but this one impacted their school community. And I think that was the biggest reason they chose it, is they wanted to do something that was personal to them and it impacted their school. So this was the winner.
So Josh, your track coach, John Ritter, invited you to come up here and speak, and your first response was, I can't public speak, Mr. Ritter. And I said, you can do it, and now you're here. You happy that you came and spoke?
Yeah.
See, there you go.
He was also our KDKA star, I believe, right?
That's right, yes.
Good job.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. You really don't want to stick around for the rest of this. I'm just telling you, you know.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.
That.
Dawn, I
Don't
can't
feel
imagine you
obligated.
filling out that form.
Now we're gonna have some comments from residents on agenda items. Anybody? Thank you, ma'am. He says
Jack, you and me,
sarcastically.
my brother-in-law has special needs. I'm gonna try not to get too emotional.
Good luck.
I have some questions about the agenda. On number 19, you're talking about the insurance. This is hard to forget. I'm on number 19, 5 of 9. Approval and renewals of premium payments for the district insurance coverage policies. Haven't been a mom of Gateway athletes. We were always fortunate that we had healthcare coverage. But having experienced some not so great accidents with the kids playing soccer, I was just telling the other people here, we were sitting in the high school stadium. We were at a home soccer game, girls, and one of the players from Gateway broke her leg, and it was so loud that all of us sitting way up in the bleachers could hear the crack. She was out for the season, had to have surgeries, whatever. My concern is when I'm reading this, and maybe I misunderstand, you have voluntary student accident insurance, which are paid for by the students in both cases, correct? Like the $27 student school time rate and then the $98 24-hour rate is paid by the individual student.
That's correct.
And that's the athletes excluding the football team. Am I reading this right?
That's correct. The varsity football coverage is a separate policy that these other types of voluntary student accident do not cover. We've had this type of coverage available. I mean, I've been here almost 20 years, probably 30 years. The same types of coverage is available.
I'm just wondering because when you're playing, like, I don't want to put football players down, but they have one game a week. And when you're traveling for Gateway Soccer, you're playing at least 3 games. So you have 3 times the risk of getting hurt. And soccer, you don't think you can't get hurt? Just remember what I said about that girl cracking her leg, and you can hear it all the way up in the sand. And we have a mom over here, Leslie, who's cringing, who's a soccer mom. My thing is, what if the kid doesn't have the $98? Because you're having school time rate. A lot of the kids I saw, we were playing Saturdays and makeup games. We were coming home on the bus at 11 o'clock at night. I mean, it had to be a 24-hour rate, and $98 doesn't sound a lot. But, and maybe these parents don't have insurance, but how do we get around that if the kids don't qualify? I mean, especially with COVID and everything that's going on, how do we do that? Because we don't want to discriminate against all the other sports. I don't know what it's like with the baseball team or all the other ones, but I assume that there's more than one game a week, and they're on the road a lot too, so there's a more statistical chance of something going wrong. Trust me, I've been to foot doctors and all kinds of craziness because of injuries. So what does happen if the child cannot, you don't want them not to play?
This isn't mandatory, this is optional.
This is voluntary.
Yeah, but here's my point. If they don't have health care coverage, right, then they need some kind of coverage if they get hurt. Because you're not going to pay for their bills if they have to get sent to Forbes.
Is accident insurance in lieu of health care, Mr. Schott?
No, this is supplemental. You have to recall probably about 3 years, or maybe a little more than 3 years ago, everyone essentially has been forced to acquire medical insurance. If they do not acquire that medical insurance, they are penalized on their tax returns for that. So again, you have the marketplace. There's various options that are available for all income levels that are out there as well.
All of our students have health care then, or they're not playing sports, is that the correct understanding?
Yes.
I would hope so.
There has to be insurance in
hope
place
so.
for them to.
I would hope so. But then if you have, this is in addition, but if you have health care, then that would be the primary thing. Then why do we even need this?
Again, this is voluntary. This is supplemental coverage.
Okay, and then you're saying the football student accident is different?
Yes.
I would imagine the insurance company set those rates, not
Yes,
us.
this is all
You can
set.
understand me questioning that. You can
Let me
understand
interrupt.
that.
So your point is certainly well made in that football is distinct from the others.
Right.
And that is something we will revisit. We'll take a look at exactly why that is, what the history of that is, and at least try to answer that for you. Mr. Shaw seems to be making it clear that for decades that's been the case.
Well,
That
you
way,
know,
it doesn't necessarily make it right. I'm just saying, for decades, that's been the case, but we will explore this. We'll explore this and find out how it evolved. And also, we'll actually maybe find out what students, do we have students that are impacted? There are students who have not competed because of this? We'll find out.
yeah, I'd be curious to find out. And also, I'm assuming that at these games, you have an ambulance or healthcare, regardless of the sport, because back in the day, that wasn't true. And that night with that little accident that we all could hear through the stands, there was nobody there. We had to wait for the ambulance to come. So anyway, just want to make sure that isn't the case anymore.
Somebody is not covered in health insurance and they do get hurt, normally the hospital social worker can put that through, and because it would be a medical decision, obviously I'm not clairvoyant, but they're normally approved for that if they are not approved financially. So there are also provisions in the hospitals and here at Children's Hospital with the Ronald McDonald House. One of my sons actually had to use one of those years and years ago. They covered the whole cost. So in addition to this supplemental, their health care, there's a lot of programs in Allegheny County that our social workers here would be able to reach out and help a family member if God forbid a student does get hurt.
Yeah.
and consequence of that.
Well, I think that's just important to let everybody know those are available in case something does happen, because you don't want them to find out after the fact. Okay, and one last question, please.
Have to be quick. You've used up your time, Ms. Boyce. I just want to be fair
All right.
to all the other people.
Anybody else rushing up here to the podium? Number 14, page 4 of 9. This is the Forbes budget. I have a question about Forbes. How much are we promoting vocational education in Gateway? Because I'm looking at this.
Here-
Turn kids away from sports.
This year, we had applicants that exceeded the amount of spots. So apparently, we're promoting it in a way that we have to, I think, Scotty, they put on additional teachers.
Okay.
Forbes, I think they blame Forbes for getting the ninth graders to sign up. So our counselors are trying to bring those back, actually. But yeah, Forbes,
Yeah, I remember the night you decided you didn't have the ninth grade, you weren't going to have the ninth graders going. Okay, here's my question, Scotty. Why don't we have more? What can we do to get them to open up more spots so kids are not turned away?
well, that's why they're raising.
I see that. Is that just a matter of money, or do other districts don't feel about vocational?
It depends. I mean, this is the most amount of kids that have ever applied to go to Forbes since the superintendent's been there 20 years. So I think there was cosmetology, vet tech, they hired more teachers. And sadly, we actually had a teacher suddenly pass away too. But they're trying to decide on a waiting list on how to do things because they hadn't had this problem before. So they have to wait to make sure the schools all pass this, for one, to make sure they have enough funds to hire the teachers. But yeah, we're in a good position, but yeah, we're looking in to see what we can do to get more people involved.
And just,
As superintendent of record over Forbes, we've had many discussions with not only the administration at Forbes, even going back for the last 15, 20 years, but also superintendents in the region. And the programming has been beneficial over the last several years with, Scotty mentioned vet tech. That has doubled enrollment over the last 2 years. Also cosmetology and some other specialized technological fields being brought into Forbes. So it's keeping pace with what the industry is demanding. And that's the important piece. And also Forbes, to their credit, has done a better job of really selling and advertising, coming into the schools, meeting with kids, meeting with parents and staff. So it's important that we continue to do so.
very.
And a hard thing too with Forbes is like the situation we're in here, finding teachers. You know, and then if we get somebody from industry, we have to send them out to IUP to say get certified to learn how to teach. So it's a process that, you know, good thing, the whole board
Yeah.
of Forbes.
Done a lot of
Doing whatever we need to do to get. the
To
most
more
kids out.
people, yeah, because that's where the jobs are. I mean, you don't call a PhD when your toilet's clogged. So, all right, thank you very much.
Sorry,
Jack, I'm done.
Out west.
Really? Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you. We're gonna move on to rest of the meeting, section B, and Dr. Short, take over.
Let me go back to my notes here. 1 second, Mr. Bova.
Can't beat it.
Financial reports, Mr. Schott, you with us?
Yes, I am, sir. All right, Section B, financial reports. This evening, we present the financial reports specifically consisting of Section B1 list of bills for the month of May 2022. We will have an additional list of bills for the next Monday regular board meeting as well. And we will also be adding a Section B2 financial statements for the month of April 2022 and possibly a Section B3 budget transfers for the current month of May 2022. But again, we present the Section B1 list of bills this evening for the board's review.
Thank you, Mr. Schott. We'll move on to
Welcome.
section D. We're skipping section C. Personnel agenda. Mrs. Crump, are you with us?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Dr. Short. For this evening, we have for your review in the personnel section for Tuesday, May 10th, under resignations. We have 3 at this time listed. Under leave of absence, we have 4 names listed. Transfers, we have 1 per the collective bargaining agreement. We have 3 people that we are recommending for employment. We are also recommending the approval of a student worker. Cyber teachers, we currently have 9 of those listed. The early literacy program teachers, at this time, we have 15 that we are recommending. For our extended school year project, we are recommending 16 teachers at this time. Also an additional speech therapist and a nurse to cover our ESY programs, and 44 paraprofessionals, which is the largest turnout we've had in a while. For volunteers, we currently have 11, and we do have some more that we will be adding on for next week.
Question. I have a question about the security guards.
Yes, sir.
When we had security guards before, they had a certain attire they would wear. And there were certain rules that who they had to report to. Orientation, have we developed anything for our new security guards about what they're required to do? Do they have keys to the buildings in case they need to open doors, et cetera, et cetera? I know you probably.
Because we developed this so quickly and brought it back because of the need, we're still working on some of those things. There's also additional trainings that they have to go by. My understanding when they were there before last, we did not give them keys. So we're still trying to get some of that information. We will have it all in place by the beginning of next year. We only have 4 weeks left of this school year.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Mrs. Crump, we have a lunch aide that has left in January. We're just seeing that. Did they have somebody to cover that position?
We did. This was an individual who submitted told us they were going to resign. However, they never officially submitted the resignation. So what we do is we wait a certain amount of time, and then if they do not, we automatically put it on for board approval for termination.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Okay, let's go. Section F, administrative report, elementary education. Dr. Rossi?
Thank you, Dr. Short. Item number 1 is approve the use of Lexia Learning's digital components of Core 5 and Power Up programs at no cost to the district for summer remediation and enrichment. Item number 2, approve the non-public portion to Navigate 360's online professional development modules. Item number 3, approve the agreement with EduPlanet for the 22-23 school year. Item number 4, approve the agreement with Design for Learning for Title II, Title IV grant purposes for non-public schools. Item number 5 is approve the following new course proposals for Gateway High School. Course 1 is Teacher Academy Seminar, and Course 2 is Sports Literature. Item number 6, approve the display of the EverFi digital content. Item number 7, approval of service agreement with the Bristol Treatment Technologies, LLC, DBA, Care Solace. Item number 8, affiliation agreements with Carlow University and Duquesne University. And item number 9, approve the Adelphi Education Agreement for 22-23 school year as depicted in Exhibit F1.
Before we go to Mr. Schott, Micah, do you have the PowerPoint presentation for Care Solace just to inform the public about this service agreement? And I believe Mrs. Bungard, are you with us?
I can pull up the PowerPoint.
Yes, I'm here. Michael, if you want, if I can share my screen, I can just do the PowerPoint.
Yep, that works.
Robin, do you want to hit the light?
Say something about this.
Okay, can everyone hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay, Care Solace is, over the past few years, as we all know, we have seen an increase in mental health needs for not only our students, our families, but also our staff. And this is a mental health care coordination service that I'm going to talk a little bit about. So the purpose of this company is to work alongside school districts to quickly connect students, school staff, and their families to quality mental health and substance use treatment providers matched to their needs. I just want to emphasize that this company is not a treatment provider, it is a service. It's a complement to the school supports and structures and staff. It helps eliminate barriers because they're available 24/7, 365 days. It's currently being utilized with 350 school districts across the United States, including 2 local school districts, Hempfield and Fox Chapel. And in addition, this company would work alongside our school-based services that we already have in place, Turtle Creek Valley Family Behavioral Resource. Some of the key benefits are that it ensures equitable access to care regardless of coverage, including private insurances, Medicaid, and a sliding scale options for those without insurance. It helps our members of our school community to get connected. It expands on existing school support structures and bridges that gap to the community providers. It provides full case management and live data of mental health needs for our school communities. It takes that need and removes the time to research those mental health providers out there, because as we know, there's many different ones out there and can become very complicated. The services that are available through this company, one of them is called the warm handoff referral process. And I just want to emphasize that these services are available not only for our students, for our families in the community, as well as our staff members. It utilizes the software to easily submit referrals, helps navigate the mental health care system, and provides school staff with real-time updates on how those referrals are going. It is available 24/7, 365 days a year. It's a multilingual support system. The Care Companion team is available nights, weekends, holidays through the summer, and it is available in several different languages. It also provides an opportunity to anonymously reach out to seek care for our school communities and utilize that care match with its self-service tool to find verified providers on their own. It is tailored to our district and staff needs and existing supports that we have in place. The company offers ongoing training and consultation for effective implementation. So this evening, as it was shared, it is on the agenda and administration is requesting for you to review that contract and seek approval for being able to get connected with this company so that we are able to provide additional services to our school community. This is the individual, Ann Ridgway, who we did speak with and who works with local districts in the area. Does anyone have any questions?
So how are we making our personnel aware of this service? How do we get the word out, or how have we got the word out?
So we haven't been able to yet because obviously we're seeking approval from the board for the contract. If it is approved, moving forward after the next board meeting, we would connect with the company and Ridgeway, and then we would look to first train those individuals that would have the ability to make those referrals. For example, individuals like administrators, maybe counselors, things like that. We would look at our staff and determine who would have that access. There's a training for them. And then we would also have information that we would share out with our staff and our community. There's several different types of ways we can send out, parent communications. We can put out a community letter. We would also, like I said, share something opening day coming with our staff when we come back to school. But if we do, if this contract is approved, we would be able to start right away and have these services for everyone through the summer months as well.
Any other questions?
And when you say contract, like for a year, is there an obligation?
So the contract that you'll see is for 2 months right now. It is a prorated 2 months. Then what would happen next is we would seek to look for an additional contract, which would then, some of the options that they do offer is a 2-year contract. I'm sure we could speak with them, but that's what Ann had shared with us, that this initial contract is just for the remainder of the school year. And then the next contract would open us up into the summer months and into next year.
So what is the actual cost? Is there a cost?
Yes, there is a cost. And I apologize. I believe it is roughly about $2,000. I don't have the exact amount in front of me. I do apologize. But the contract should be attached to the board agenda.
Okay.
There have been many articles in the news about mental health issues that have increased since COVID. Just happened to pull one from a neighboring school district involving Plum. You happen to see that in the Tribune Review. And what this will do is simply provide another resource for parents, staff, to access this company to make that transition to an appropriate level support person immediately.
But they're not providing any support.
They're the middle person connecting it with all their resources they have.
Liaison.
Yeah,
Like a service coordinator for mental health.
correct.
Would they be working with our social workers?
Yes.
She said that was one of the possibilities, right?
Yes, they're a service coordination. So they're not the provider. They just merely are similar to services like EAP, where you call in and you make those connections and they do the searching for the providers and the doctors and people out there for the family so that they don't have to go through that hassle of trying to find a doctor who's available.
Including looking at the insurance, the carrier that the parent or family has to work with certain.
I have the prices pulled up if you want them, Mr. Bova.
What do you got?
It says for the introductory term, May 15th through the end of the school year, $1,531. For the annual term, July 1st through June 30th, next school year, $12,250, based on a student enrollment of 3,500 to be confirmed by the school district.
Thank you, Rita.
You're welcome.
So is there, go ahead. So are they to relieve stress that maybe we as the administrators, the staff might be under when needing to provide resources to students? I mean, what do they do that we can't? And I'm looking at you, Leslie, because.
They make that transition for really connecting to a therapist or a mental health agency easier. A lot of times what we found are parents and families do not necessarily follow through with perhaps a recommendation from social worker, counselor, et cetera. So they are the between persons. Sometimes parents want to remain anonymous in this, and we'll have this information posted on our website that will allow a parent to then access that phone number and do it themselves through this agent.
And then bypass, okay.
They also have a bank of providers where sometimes it can become very frustrating in this process when you reach out to 2 or 3 doctors and you don't get a phone call back, or you're not able to get an appointment quickly. For example, within a 5-mile radius, they shared with us that they have 200 providers in their bank. So they just keep calling. It's kind of like an operating system. They just keep calling until they find that person to connect with that family.
Complete repository, and then they basically, in essence, hold the hand of the parent or the child as they move through the process to get seen.
And as long as they're a student here, they will provide that service. Just for students or for the entire family?
So it's for families, staff, and students. Anyone in our school community here, it will be available for.
Okay.
My question had to do with.
Could you go to the mic so the folks at home could hear, please, Kelly?
Sorry. My question had to do when you say referral, so does this company refer kids for services, or, I was gonna say, like, my question was, where's nobody would be getting referred without a parent involvement, that was my question.
The parent would be
Correct.
notified, yeah.
Thank you.
But the parent would be notified because if they can go into the website and gather that information, then it would be left up to this organization to contact the parents, because the school might not even know about it.
A parent may do it on their own without the help. We found that some families and parents need that assistance to follow through, insurance, phone calls, continuing.
But going along with her comment, if a student saw this on the website, they're doing their own research, looking for assistance, and they call them, then they would be responsible because we wouldn't have any knowledge of that, correct?
Correct, but they need the adult in the home to then follow through, not necessarily the child.
But it would be this organization that would have to follow up with the parent.
It says in section 1.2, the family contact shall be a parent, legal guardian, or adult primary contact as directed by school district. Care Solace will then work directly with the primary contact to connect the student to treatment providers.
Okay, so they wouldn't even take a
child
inquiry from a child.
Right, so I suggest everyone read through that.
It's 14 pages.
So we all get a better idea of, I mean, they're clearly facilitators.
It's on their website.
It's on the agenda
so many
as a
barriers.
attachment, as an exhibit.
Okay.
And there really is, so once they get reached out to, she's right, you can call 15 providers, and if you don't have the right verbiage, right, so some people call and say, I would like an assessment or an evaluation, right? There's a 3-month wait for that. Well, if, you're having a crisis, who wants to wait 3 months? So they'll continue to call, but also some of the verbiage is, I would like to start therapy. Because if you want to start therapy, you're being evaluated this entire time. So in that world, doing a 1-hour evaluation and then labeling somebody is not obviously good, right? So if you start a therapy, so this company knows that verbiage, and parents are overwhelmed with this. First you're going to find out your child has a mental health barrier, and what's your first thought? Stigma, right? You don't want school to know, you don't want your neighbors to know, you don't want any of that. So this company tries to take the stigma away, number one, and then we'll help facilitate, just like a service coordinator would, to get these appointments and walk them through the amount of red tape. And again, like I spoke about health insurance, mental health is covered under that too. Some policies have riders on them for an additional $25,000. People that have typical kids from day one don't know about all this. And this is all encompassed for the overwhelming information that a parent gets. So as a service.
Industry is becoming overwhelmed with the amount of
Yes.
referrals and inquiries.
Correct, that too. So your child might not need an evaluation, they just might need to talk to somebody, and in that would determine that evaluation. And typical parents don't know that. Your first thought is, somebody needs to tell me what's wrong. I just need to talk.
And you're saying a parent can use the service too, because they might be struggling, right? Okay.
Yeah, it's normally family focused or family based to encompass everybody. So then if there's more special needs, they would be able to get into wraparound services or other services that they might qualify for, PTIC. I mean, there's so much that Allegheny has to offer, and it's so hard to get to it. And these companies are needed to get to that. You know how.
What's PTIC?
Parent,
Sorry, say an acronym if you don't know one.
PCI, Parent Child Interactive Therapy. It's mostly for kind of like elementary, I believe up to 4th grade. But it teaches parents how to discipline appropriately for somebody with behavioral problems that doesn't necessarily have like a DSM-5, rating or whatever. Some parents just are a little bit more angry or anxious or whatever. So it's a parenting that you're taught. The Children's Institute has it. The Children's Initiative has it. There's a lot of places that have it. So your relationship in the very beginning, when you set your boundaries in your home, can continue through.
That sounds similar to wraparound though.
Yes, but it literally is interactive play therapy, and then it teaches you how to, it's almost like the nanny, but a little bit. So yeah, there's people that offer that, but we use the service coordinators and stuff for our clients a lot, and it's so beneficial.
Okay. Mr. Schott.
Thank you, Dr. Short. Item number 10, approval of the annual purge service agreement with Stericycle/Shred-It for the 22-23 fiscal year, and that is as depicted in Exhibit G. Item number 11, approval of the extension of the agreement with the Allegheny County Department of Human Services for the reimbursement of expenditures incurred by the district through the transportation of foster care children during the current 21-22 fiscal year. That is depicted in Exhibit H. Item number 12 is the approval of the extension of the agreement with the Allegheny County Department of Human Services for the reimbursement of expenditures incurred by the district through the transportation of foster care children during the upcoming 22-23 fiscal year. That's depicted in Exhibit I. Item number 13, adopt, advertise, and place on public display the proposed final general fund budget for a 22-23 fiscal year. I will read this in its entirety, so please bear with me. Adopt, approve the advertisement, and approve the required placement on public display via the budget form PDE-2028, the proposed final general fund budget for the 22-23 fiscal year in the amount of $93,096,000. It is further resolved the 22-23 fiscal year proposed final general fund budget shall be considered for final adoption at the board's regular meeting to be held on Tuesday, June 21st, 2022. The final public hearing for the proposed final general fund budget will take place on Tuesday, June 7th, 2022 at 6 p.m. via an in-person meeting in the high school LGI room and via a Zoom meeting similar to the current board meeting format. Please note, the above proposed final general fund budget amount will continue to change and will be updated as applicable prior to the final public hearing, as well as prior to the June study session and the June regular board meetings. The proposed final general fund budget is currently required to be balanced through the utilization of unassigned fund balance to eliminate a remaining deficit amount of $2,847,000 after an included real estate tax millage increase of 0.8565 mils or 4.1% greater than the current millage rate of 20.8914 mils. The new millage rate would be 21.7479 mils. Additional expenditure reductions, additional revenue adjustments, and or the utilization of unassigned fund balance may all be required in some combination to balance the final general fund budget. The adoption and placement on public display of the district's proposed final general fund budget is a requirement of Special Session Act 1 of 2006. The approval of the above resolution does not set a final general fund budget amount and does not set a final real estate tax millage rate for the 22-23 fiscal year. Item number 4, Approval of the Forbes Road Career and Technology Center budgets for the upcoming 22-23 fiscal year as depicted below and also as depicted in Exhibit J. Item number 15, appointment of school dentist for the 22-23 fiscal year. That's Dr. Richard M. Appletar at the per student dental examination amount of $5. That's a continuation. Item number 16 is the approval of appointment of school board treasurer for the upcoming 22-23 fiscal year. That would be a continuation of myself. Item number 17, approval of depository district funds for the 22-23 fiscal year. That is with PNC Bank. Item number 18 is the approval of investment of district funds with financial institutions for the upcoming 22-23 fiscal year in accordance with section 440.1 of Pennsylvania Public School Code. Item number 19 is approval of renewals and premium payments as applicable for district insurance coverage policies for the 22-23 fiscal year as depicted below. And again, this is, I believe, the second batch of annual insurance premiums and policy approvals. There will be additional added as well for the June meeting. Item number 20, extension of the milk and dairy vendor product bid through the cafeteria fund for the upcoming 22-23 fiscal year with Turner Dairy Farms Incorporated, and that's depicted in Exhibit K. Item number 21, approval of extension of agreement for professional services for the 22-23 fiscal year. That's with the EADS Group. That's for engineering services and a retainer amount of $150 per month, $1,800 total. That's depicted in Exhibit L. Item number 22, approval of the service agreement with CTI Water Treatment Solutions for heating and cooling water treatment services for the 22-23 fiscal year in the amount of $5,500, and that's depicted in Exhibit M. Item number 23 is approval of change orders for the Gateway Middle School renovation project through the construction fund. Approve the change orders for Liacarius Construction Company, Inc., A1 Electric, Inc., and Shipley Plumbing, LLC, in the total net amount of $35,162.32 as depicted below. Item number 24, approval to hire Bristol Environmental, Inc. to perform required additional asbestos abatement services at the Gateway Middle School renovation project through a construction fund in the amount of $15,300. And again, it's to provide require additional asbestos abatement services for the removal of insulation containing asbestos that was wrapped around a pipe in the gymnasium at the Gateway Middle School, and that's depicted in Exhibit N. Item number 25, approval of purchases and payments for various department items during the 21-22 fiscal year, specifically through the Technology Department, Apple Inc., 650 iPads with 1 year of Apple eye care support, $199,098. AGA Repair Inc., 650 iPad Edge carry cases for your protection plan in the amount of $66,550 for a total amount of $265,648. Please note the above items will be purchased and paid for during the current 21-22 fiscal year instead of during the 22-23 fiscal year to reduce expenditures in the 22-23 fiscal year general fund budget. Additional purchases may be presented for board consideration and approval at the June board meetings. Item number 26, and this corresponds with the previous item number 25, is the approval of sale of obsolete damaged technology department equipment during the 21-22 fiscal year, specifically 300 iPads to AGA Repair in the estimated total sale proceeds amount. And again, the actual amount will depend on the actual condition of the devices, from a low of $1,500 to a high of $37,500. And that's depicted in Exhibit O. Item number 27, approval of Allegheny Intermediate Unit Number 3 Educational Services Agreement for the 22-23 fiscal year. That's depicted in Exhibit P. And finally, item number 28 is the approval of the Allegheny Intermediate Unit Number 3 Memorandum of Understanding for Title III Federal Fund Services for the 22-23 fiscal year, and that's depicted in Exhibit Q.
Questions or comments?
On number 26, does that include the items that had not been turned in? I know we had a lot of items that weren't turned in, iPads, tablets, electronics.
This would not in this case. These would be, and Mr. Brown can jump in if he'd like, but these are 300 iPads that are currently in the district's possession. That is my understanding of those 300.
These 300 would be some of the ones that we'll be collecting and cycling. We expect the number to grow once we get more back, but these would be the ones that would be ready initially for resale.
Sorry.
Micah, the damaged iPads that we get back, that the students have damaged, are they held accountable for these?
So if it's accidental damage, right now we are not passing that fee on to the families. Through the AGI Protect coverage, any accidental damage is covered automatically. If damage was the result of vandalism or purposeful damage, then yes, we would hold the child accountable, as we would if they don't turn in the equipment.
Thanks.
Number 24 for the asbestos. Do we just use this company, or is that a bid out, or is there other companies that do this? Is this reasonable price?
Mr. Brown, are you with us? Bob?
Yes, I am.
Maybe you could provide, we've had lengthy discussions about this.
I don't know anything about asbestos.
What it was
companies
a pipe that was not included in the initial amount. It was an abandoned pipe from a previous renovation that was hidden up in the ceiling of the gym. So it was not covered under our initial asbestos costs. So we've got 3 bids to, look at this. One was in the 20s, and so this was the best bid that Mr. Zanger could come up with between he and I. We've got, he said, the 3 bids. So
Okay, so it was bid out. You guys looked at other ones?
Yeah, we
Okay.
got 3 quotes on it because of the cost. It wasn't an actual bid. It was 3 quotes because of the number.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? If not, we'll move to residents on non-agenda items. Do we have anyone in the audience that would like to comment on non-agenda items?
Jeanette Beagle from Monroeville. I just wanted to come as a parent and member of the FTO from Moss-Side Middle School, thank Mrs. Delaney and Mr. Bova for coming out to our book bingo. We had a great time. I hope you guys had a great time. I know Mr. Bova was great at calling the numbers for us, and my children still thank you for pulling their number for the foosball table.
How did you know to do that?
Where in the?
It's in the basement. It gets moved on a regular basis and goes back. It's the pride and joy of the house right now.
Well, it was a great time. Thank you for inviting us.
And I won.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you, John. Okay, moving forward, superintendent report. Just month of May is always exciting in the Gateway School District. We have so many activities, opportunities for our families to come out and see our children, whether or not it's kindergarten graduation, preschool graduation, but also various functions to high school, including senior awards, and then culminating in our commencement activity at the beginning of the month. So it's an exciting time. We're currently through the grind of PSSAs and Keystones.
Already RSVP.
Be done soon. So all the information will be posted on our website. So if you're available, please stop by and see one of the outstanding activities we have to offer. That's all I have.
Thanks, sir. Let's go around to our board committee reports. Let's start over there. Anything tonight?
Nothing.
Nothing. Mr. Williams?
Nothing this evening, thank you.
Dr. Singh?
Nothing.
Mr. Ritter?
Sure, I've been attending a bunch of meetings, School Safety and Security Board Report Assembly. We had the Intergovernmental Committee meeting. Track season is winding down. The kids are out running their little hearts out today. They should be back pretty soon. I'd like to brainstorm. I talked with some folks on the PSBA monthly call, some school board directors, and we're all still concerned about the mental health, behavioral health issues that the students have. So we're trying to brainstorm ways to make this summer a fun and good thing. So inviting the kids, the football team to come out and march in the Independence Day parade or things like that. So if the community could invent things for the students to get together, to celebrate, to do, maybe have the graduates walk down, from the Old Stone Church, Miracle Mile, all the way down to Monroeville Mall. This is the graduating class that made it through COVID. Why not just have the kids get together and then give them something at the tail end, like lollipops? I don't know, just find things to do, because there were some sad reports on this morning's conference call. The most tragic thing that could possibly happen to some kids is happening, and some of the school board members were in tears trying to report that and just asking the question, isn't there anything that we could possibly do to prevent these terrible tragedies? So, like having the kids come up and make a presentation, that builds their self-esteem. Now they get to go back, and whenever they're walking down the hallways, they're leaders. They understand that, and they can take leadership when other kids misbehave. They can model really good behavior. So that was the importance of having this presentation here tonight. There's a call now for school boards to generate and submit additions, deletions, and updates to the next proposed PSBA legislative platform. So they're going to be collecting good ideas from school boards, putting that into a giant meeting. The delegates get to go to Harrisburg and hammer out the next iteration of the battle plan for PSBA. So I'll be happy to do that on our behalf, but I need some great ideas from this team here. So on that, I'm proposing that our school board get together maybe in a month or so somewhere and just have an all-day board retreat.
Retreat, yes. I thought about that.
Let's have good food and no masks and see what we can do about coming up with some good ideas.
I
There
thought
will be
about
no
that
voting.
retreat.
It will not, it won't violate the Sunshine Act, because many school boards have school board retreats, and this is the way for us to get together and find out about each other's background, personalities, histories, hopes, dreams, fears, et cetera, and then come up with something great out of that. And then if we do come up with anything, we could bring it to the public here in an open forum and get the public's input, like we always can and should do, and like we're want to do. So would the board like to have this sort of a retreat? Should I go ahead and try to put it together for us? All in favor, don't say anything. Yes, next. There will be a PSBA liaison meet and greet on June 7th in Cranberry. I'm going to go to that. I am our liaison to PSBA, so they're going to put us all together at the Cranberry area and give us a pat on the back and find out what our thoughts are. So this morning I was on an HL7 International Working Group meeting, and I was talking about the SHIFT project again to the mobile health and the EHR work groups. And the very thing that Heather brought up is one of the ingredients to this. Again, she has just found a nice gem that could help provide some sort of umbrella of communications that has been developed by a company who knows the rules and wants to follow them and has a service to provide. And so the SHIFT project is a much more comprehensive way. It's a framework so that any and all schools can ask the questions about the student's health so that they can go to it and get an answer and then adapt that answer to their budget and their needs and their plans. So I'm going to make another presentation on the same thing tomorrow morning at Q1, that's 9 to 11, with the Patient Empowerment Work Group, the Patient Care Work Group, the EHR Work Group, and the Newly Formed Health and Social Services Work Group. And we're going to ask the same question. What can we do on a national or state level, international level, to help the school students? This is a good question. Nobody doesn't want to talk about this. So I'm helping to lead this discussion, leading the SHIFT project. We're making very, very slow progress in it because it ain't easy to invent something new and to build a protocol like this. But I'm a mountain. I have the endurance to understand that it just takes time to build a great foundation so that people can come along later after us, after me, and then do something great with a good foundation. So that's what HL7 standards are all about, building the foundation so that other services, like the one we talked about tonight, can have the information that they need, have it be protected, secure, confidential, obey all the rules, and so that people can communicate the needs of the students and the students can get the services that they need. So I think that's about all I have, except that we have a Gateway 72 50th year graduation coming up. Bill Short is going to walk the kids, us old kids around and show us the updates to the campus here, and we're looking forward to doing that towards the end of the summer.
They won't recognize it.
They won't recognize it because such school boards have been doing such great things along with their superintendents and buildings and ground director to keep this school up and running and the students doing wonderful things. So that's my report.
Thank you, Mr. Ritter. Head over to here, Leslie McBride.
No, nothing, thank you.
Ms. Warning?
Well, not a report on a committee, but I would like to bring up the thoughts of what our neighboring school district did recently, banning cell phones out of our schools. I have been in touch with the company that is working with Penn Hills. I talked with them today, and it's a very easy fix as long as we have everybody on board. There is a packet that I was talking to our tech department about. It is a little pouch that they put the phones in when they come in. This is what Penn Hills is supposedly doing. And it locks, and then when they leave, it unlocks. They touch this little pad. Well, talking to the rep today, they are coming up with one. What they do is the students put their phones in when they come in. They keep the phones with them all day, and they take the pouch home. They are responsible for that pouch. So we don't have to worry about opening them, that they have their own PIN to open them once they get out of the school. So there's a lot more involved, but I looked at it.
If they have the PIN to unlock it, can't they just unlock it in the class?
Well, that's where administration and our teachers and that come into play.
But it's the same thing as them locking their phone, isn't it?
Correct, but he says there's more to it than what they're coming up with. So they can't, the discipline, first off, let me say the reason why I am pushing this, have been looking at this, is just with the anxiety with our kids, the bullying kids with the cell phones, not paying attention, things that go on in the school with our cell phones. And I just think that this is something that Gateway should look into. I know Woodland Hills is doing it, Stowe Rocks is doing it. I pulled up their policies. We actually have something in our policy, but we just don't follow it with having cell phones.
But it's their watches too, right? Smart watches.
Yes. So there are benefits and detriments to a pouch system. So we have, the school board needs to discuss.
Correct.
The benefits outweigh the detriments.
Not just the school board, but the community. This is something we would see community and administration and employee input from, if I could add.
Correct. I will send all the information to our board. They can take a look at it. I think it's something that we should look into just to help our students. I know teachers that I've talked to, they would like to have the phones out of the students' hands sitting in the classroom so they can pay attention more. We offer every student an iPad or a Chromebook so they don't need their phones for technology reasons. So, you know, if there's issues with emergencies, parents can call the office. That's why we have our secretaries to take care of that, to phone down to the classrooms. And
Did it give you a price for the public on the pouch cost?
let me find it here. We're looking at, it's about $13,000 a year.
How much per pouch, per kid?
$11.50.
$11.50.
So if the student destroys it, then we write up the policy working with Yoder Company, with doing our policy, with everything. They have a blank form, And with any type of damages, anything like that, that there would be a cost to them, back to the student.
For the public, that's Yoder, Y-O-D-E-R.
Y-O-N-D-R.
Yonder, Y-O-N-D-R.
Yes.
Was that it, Ms. Warner?
Yes.
I want to comment on that a little bit.
You're gonna get a chance.
Well, it's okay. Well, I thought we were having a discussion about it.
Can I comment on it since she said it after you came to me?
So here's how this is going to work. Ms. Warning has started what is going to be a wonderful dialogue and conversation with the district. We have a meeting coming up with Ramsey, is the first of our reaching out to the community. And that's the first opportunity to talk to the community. But we also have to reach out to teachers and administrators to get their input. We have to talk to every parent who's paying attention and those who aren't. We have to maybe talk to students, which, you know, we don't seem to do nearly enough of. So yeah, this is the very beginning of what's going to be an interesting conversation. And y'all can say anything you want. You know, this is wide open, but this is just the beginning. I appreciate Ms. Warning doing the research and bringing this up. The pouch isn't the only physical way to do this. There are other ways of doing it. Other places put them in a box. Other places simply enforce the policy that you can't use your phone in class. So there are a number of ways of, as John Ritter might say, to skin this proverbial cat. So first we need to figure out if we as a district want to do it. We then have to figure out in which schools. Is it going to be in every school? Is it going to be in every grade? There's lots and lots of things to do, and I say we get to it. So
All in favor of having a discussion about this, don't say anything.
You're gonna get a lot done that way, John.
So excellent. This is the place to start. It's been pointed out to me that there aren't nearly enough people that come to our meetings or that view them online. So social media is a place to get the word out. I will go to my grave ignoring social media because it makes me a happier person. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't take advantage of it as a tool to communicate. So we'll use that to get the word out about this discussion, because that's what it is, a discussion. This isn't going to be some top-down, here's how we're doing this. Okay, that's my thought. So,
Well said.
anyone?
No, go ahead. I'll just.
Oh, you had a thought. I don't want you to lose it.
No, I wrote it down. I'll be good.
Oh.
Is that it, Ms. Warning?
That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah. I wanted to just thank Dr. Klinger and Dawn Nicolazzo and Regan Reader. And just because, too, when John had mentioned, we need to get the kids more involved, because if they start seeing involvement at a young age in the school board, not that they'll get on the school board later, but they might. But I think that's a good idea. In fact, because I was going to, and I was telling Val about that, I was going to present something about how the Interact students this weekend were involved in a rally, peace rally for Ukraine and all. But I'd rather that was the Interact student, if I could get a few of them to come in maybe next week. So
I think we should make a habit of getting
and
students in here.
I absolutely agree. So rather than me talk about it, I'd rather have the kids engaged and involved, because they're the reason we do all this, and we want to encourage them in that respect. And John, interesting when you mentioned a retreat. Back in January, I thought about a retreat, but I didn't want tomatoes thrown at me, so I just abandoned the idea totally. But I thought that, was one way of trying to bring us together. You'd been throwing tomatoes, but also.
On record is saying, when John mentioned this last time I was on the board, my only concern is the Sunshine Act. And if we only had a lawyer who could tell us what that is.
That means that Bruce would have to go. He's saying no.
Try to keep it, don't start talking about school board issues. Keep it informative. You can talk about information. You can certainly ask, well.
Is the camera on these two? Turn to the camera. I want to get a.
How do we do that?
Or why? Or why have a retreat?
Just gotta talk about your kids and your summer vacation.
Yeah, you talk about your kids, you talk about your families.
Politics, religion, anything that's
You can talk about politics in general. But you can't talk about whether or not you're gonna impose this.
Do you trust me?
Cell phone.
But can we discuss the cell phones in any way?
No. Well, as long as you're not making
If
decisions.
what you're doing is educating,
Educating one another, absolutely.
if it's just becoming informed, that's an exception to the sunshine law. So, you know, there are ways,
It's a 1980s text message.
there are exceptions to the sunshine law, and that's one of them, where you can start to talk about, in general sense, subjects, but don't get into specific voting issues.
Okay,
Informational meetings.
correct.
That's it.
All right, and let me also mention, and this is for you, John, Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month is May.
Let me just say one more thing. You could also advertise the retreat and have the public there. And now you can talk about anything you want.
No, anyway. Moving right along. Okay, what I was going to say, May has been designated as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And across the nation, Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders contribute to a rich and deeply rooted heritage. So I wanted to share that. And also this month, it's Jewish American Heritage Month. So May is the month of many things, but that's another one of them, and that reflects on the contributions of the Jewish people to a young and growing nation over its 250-year history, et cetera. But it's interesting when you find these different types of
Affinity groups.
yeah, but one other thing, I'm going to give you a quote. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Anybody know who said that?
Me, I've said that.
Other than Jack.
I got nothing.
Actually, take a guess. And it's not Dr. Martin Luther King, just so you know.
I was gonna guess.
Let me tell you, who actually said that was Nelson Mandela. And May 10th, which is today, back in 1994, he was elected the first president, I won't say African-American, African president of South Africa. So just thought that's all I have.
Thank you, ma'am.
That was great.
Ms. Cerrucci.
I forgot everything I was gonna say, now it's all your fault,
I told
Jack.
you to go ahead.
Then we'll
No,
move on to
just
me.
kidding. No, I'm
I
kidding.
was just kidding.
I'm kidding. I just wanted to thank Val for bringing that up, because I think we get into the habit of doing things the same way all the time and not looking at change. And we have a lot of really good things happening at Gateway, and we saw some of them tonight. Susan mentioned the Interact Club. We saw the Leadership Academy. We have some mentoring programs starting. But we can't deny, and everybody listening and watching knows, we also have issues that need addressed that I'm not happy with. I'm not happy with the learning loss from COVID. We have areas that we need to make up. I'm not happy with some of the behavior issues I'm still seeing from our kids. And I know that's happening at all the schools, but that doesn't matter. We're going to try to make it better here. I'm upset, that we have mental health issues with our students, and we have to pay a service to help them, because that breaks your heart. It's not that I don't have a problem spending money to help kids, but it's heartbreaking that we have to be in that position. So we have a lot of struggles that are going on, and I think to try to find ways to tackle them is admirable, and we have to do that, and we're obligated to do that. And I don't think there's any denying that our society has an addiction to cell phones. We use them as tools. They're good for communicating, but when kids can't take their faces out of them and they're obsessed with getting likes, and we know there's even psychological things that happen in your brain when you get a like on social media. I almost feel like part of me wants to just rip the Band-Aid off and say, no more cell phones. And I understand that it doesn't apply maybe to every grade or every school, that these are things that we need to talk about, but it's a problem. I mean, I, as an adult, have to limit myself to screen time sometimes and say, look, I just need to walk away from this so I can focus. And if we have learning loss and we know our kids are distracted, the best thing we can do for our kids is eliminate that distraction. So I'm in favor of a
bottom to top type of approach of, we talked about this, management and running this school district and this community, not a top down, which means that the grassroots, the people, the parents, the teachers, the paraprofessionals, the aides, anybody involved should have a stake and have input on how to make our community better. Because when you empower the masses, you have change a lot better than when you have one or two people at the top making a trickle-down decision. So we don't want to be a board of 9 people that sit here and analyze Yoder phones and decide yes or no, we're going to implement a policy on your kids. We want to be the ones that come like Val with the idea and then give it to you, the parents and the staff and the administration and the teachers, and say, okay, if it's not the Yoder case, what do we do? Does everybody agree that maybe we have an issue with kids and technology, and every time there's a fight, it's on YouTube, and, teachers can't give up on telling kids to put their phones away because they can't win? I mean, we as a community need to come together and come up with ideas to solve these problems. And that's what I wanted to say that I was in favor of. And good job, Val, for coming up with some information and some ideas. That's all I got.
Thank you, Ms. Cerrucci. And I say yes to all that. One of the things we've learned from the incidents we've had recently is there are complaints about our communication skills as a board, as an administration. So we're beginning this series of conversations in all of our schools because we all want to be better. We all want to be as effective as we can. So we're going to take this step and make it work. And if we have other tools, we'll utilize those too. And great step, Val. Bold move. We'll see how it goes. Get everyone's input. You can't be afraid to have people say no to your idea, because then you stop coming up with ideas. You get stung, and you can't, keep doing it. Keep coming up with ideas, and, some will be winners.
So how are we going to have a conversation? Will you put it into a meeting?
Excuse me.
I'll handle it from here. Gather some information, speak with Val, probably have her maybe take the lead. And
Okay.
develop surveys, et cetera.
Okay.
And I think Jack wanted to incorporate it into the Ramsey conversation, the public.
That's the first obvious step. We'll have an audience. We can begin talking to parents of children of that age, which may be a different conversation than middle school or the high school, or it should be actually. So, we'll find out. It's easy. Nice thing about everything we're talking about is if you Google this subject, you'll find schools that have done it. You'll find articles about why you shouldn't do it. It's almost too much information, but it's certainly a place to start. And then, again, we'll find out from the folks. What do you think? And do this as quickly as we can, because you can get overwhelmed by this data and information and, never make a decision. Paralysis of analysis. Is that right? Analysis of paralysis? Was that right? Paralysis of analysis. No, it doesn't sound right in my head. All right, two or three quick things. A Gateway grad, a recent Gateway grad, young Christopher Dick, who works as a police officer in Pitcairn and Wilmerding, saved a life.
Really?
A couple days ago, yes. He was on a call. Someone was unresponsive. He went to work. He revived them. He literally saved a life, which is pretty cool, actually. So I just wanted to shout out to Chris, who also threw a no-hitter for Gateway when he was a pitcher here. So that's not a bad career for, I think he's 22 maybe? Yeah, not off to a bad start. And that's a Gateway kid. I want to remind everyone, our next meeting is not
The 17th, because of Election Day, it's the 16th.
So I want everyone to remember that. The meeting's on Monday, and
One more quick item. Is that okay?
Of course, sir,
The
yes.
finance director has been doing an analysis of the softball field and some upgrades there. When might be a good time to have him bring those thoughts before the board for us to discuss it?
Well, I would suggest that he brings it in front of the board and the community to discuss it next week. So
we'll have all that information.
right, we'll have some details about what's changing and what we need to do about it.
About getting the kids involved, I remember in years past, we used to have a student rep that used to come to at least one meeting, Can we see if there's any interest on that again, to have a student rep?
Yes, as we've been coming out of COVID. And I say that, yeah, we're done.
It's done. It's over.
You know, our attempts have been to get through this school year, and then we'll have our kids back.
That was a student rep from each school or a student rep from high school?
Usually a student rep from the high school that comes in.
And so, right, that's the way we did it. The way we're doing it now, this more grassroots, something's going on, having a kid. Everyone who agrees with me, don't say anything. But that's clearly a better way than having a designated rep, because now we get to look at, kids doing a whole bunch of different things. So we'll just need to make sure we keep reaching out to the teachers and students and folks to find out. Let's get someone in here. We got tons of stuff going on in this school. Every meeting we could have someone in here telling us something good, to offset the occasional bad news. And with that, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
No.
Oh, yes, sir.
I thought it will come up, but it didn't come. So yesterday morning, we had a Equity Curriculum Committee meeting here at 8 o'clock.
Dr. Chaggy's not here today, so
And he sent us a minutes for that meeting from yesterday. And I thought this was the first meeting for that group for me. And I thought it was very informative to me. And just about the pouch, I thought there was overwhelming consensus to do it.
Overwhelming
There
consensus?
was not a single person talking against it. So I just wanted to say it because I thought somebody else would do it. I mean, So Susan let me know that meeting is at 8 o'clock, so I get up early and start running. So I was here in time. But it was a very nice experience. I think getting up early is sometime good for you.
All in favor of getting up early?
Executive for a couple minutes about personnel?
Don't say anything.
Okay, so we're gonna adjourn to executive session with no return. So
we're talking about personnel.
Personnel,
And
yes.
Mrs. Crump stay?
So do I hear a motion to adjourn to
So moved.
personnel with not to return? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good night. See you next week.